Anime and manga aren't always kid-friendly as many of us have come to accept. Sure, we have parents-approved Squid Girl, but we also have bloody stuff like Berserk, serious stuff like Vagabond, and strange stuff like some unmentionables. But once in a while we find a series that borders on the WTF and the oh that's cool. Future Diary is one of these well-known and liked series that makes you go, what the fuck is happening once in a while. Hello audience, and today on Yvern's Box we'll be looking at Mirai Nikki, otherwise known as Future Diary. Presented as both a manga and an anime, Future Diary is an incredibly dark yet oddly entertaining survival series. Explaining the premise of this story is probably one of the strangest things to do, but let me give it a shot. The god of the world is approaching his death and needs to find someone to replace him. He decides to do so by choosing a bunch of weirdos and psychopaths and asks them to fight each other to the death. To make things more interesting, he grants them magical diaries in the form of anything from scrolls to cell phones, each one being able to foretell the future from a different perspective. The story follows Yukiteru Amano, otherwise referred to as Yuki, who tries to survive the attacks of the other candidates with the help of an overly loving girl, Yunogasai. The plot picks up speed very quickly and remains strong for most of the story. Plot twists will happen, shit gets revealed, and all these make for a bizarrely good experience. There will be plenty of opportunities for reviewers and readers to get confused or to just say, what the fuck, did that just happen? So you don't need to worry about that. Almost every candidate is given a backstory that is intense enough for people to come to care about them. And everything works on to a finale that is mind-boggling, to say the least. At the same time, a lot of time is given to the two main characters, Yuki and Yuno, which keeps them interesting, but it can also be argued that the emphasis on these two took away somewhat from the plot itself. However, not all is fine and dandy, and apart from the story being somewhat hectic and confusing at times, there is also an issue that I had, being the ending, but I will discuss about that later. Like other survival and arena style series, with Battle Royale coming to mind, Future Diary takes a lot of time trying to flesh out the characters. As I said before, most of the other candidates were given a backstory to work with, and those that weren't are usually given a certain quirk to make them memorable. Even non-candidates were given interesting roles to play, such as Yuki and Yuno's classmates, with Aru Akise being the most interesting of those. Apart from that, we have Yuki, starting off the series as one of those annoying crybaby characters. He is quite naive and tries his best to avoid conflict, which ultimately fails. But he is also a huge coward, usually relying on Yuno to do much of his dirty work, even to the point of being called out by another candidate. At the same time, he does not have a quote-unquote static personality. His character fluctuates quite a bit throughout the series, ranging from frail and weak to downright ruthless. But these changes keep him fresh and make him for a more or less interesting protagonist. But the star of the show is without a doubt Yunogasai, the main female character. Yunogasai belongs to a very obscure and niche archetype known as yanderes, and although she isn't the first yandere character to ever be conceived, she has become the new poster child for them. As a quick definition, yanderes are characters that mixes love with violence. She is very caring for Yuki, with reasons being given later into the story, and she would do anything for him. This does not limit to killing, kidnapping, poisoning, or any other villainous crime. Because she cares for him so much, she willingly gives up her chance to become God, and gives her everything to put Yuki on the throne. Something that piqued my interest though is why people love her so much. I mean, sure, she loves you, but she's fucking dangerous, dude. Well, for the heck of it, let me give you a few reasons why. Firstly, she isn't a weak female character, and I mean that in both sense. Yuno breaks away from the typical anime girl role of princess in distress, and she does so in a bloody manner. Secondly, she makes up for Yuki's shortcoming. Now, like I said, Yuki isn't exactly an alpha male, but Yuno fixes up most of his problems he had, even if in a strange way. Thirdly, she is what all boys of that age want. Well, sort of. Sure, she may kidnap you and enclose you in an abandoned building, but heck, 60% of the time when you ask her to do something, she does it enthusiastically and without complaining, so I guess that's worth it. Finally, she's pretty. At least that's what I've been told, seeing as I'm not really too interested in middle schoolers. But to each their taste. The anime adaptation for Future Diary did everything it was supposed to. It presented a dark story in a dark way. It showed blood nicely, it showed decapitation skillfully, and it showed Yuno's yandere mode perfectly. What else can you ask? Well, Asred decided to even include a horrifically beautiful opening, which to this day remains one of the most memorable openings for me. And possibly most importantly, the anime followed its source material pretty religiously. Future Diary is in no way a long read, with there only being 12 volumes or about 60 chapters give or take. But the more you read, the more pressed you are to flipping the pages. The story is riveting and compelling, and the art is pretty enough. Furthermore, this was the first take on the plot, meaning that no modifications had yet to be made on the story. Emphasis on the yet. If there is a single complaint I could file against Future Diary, it would most definitely be the ending. The manga ended in a way that made it feel both rushed and overly eager to find a happy ending. The anime sadly also felt like this because of how religiously it followed the manga. But no worries for everyone out there, the ending will satisfy you. If you buy this, let me explain. The original manga was named Future Diary, but ended in the most bizarre fashion. If you wanted to read the quote-unquote complete ending, you would have to read Mirai Nikki Mosaic, Paradox, Redial, which is less of a continuation than it is of a remedy. The anime pulled a similar move, releasing an OVA containing the true or complete ending. Although not an issue for people who would watch it now, this was quite vexing for me and anyone else who enjoyed it while it was originally airing. But I guess that would also be an issue for anyone who likes to collect the entirety for their collection. Mirai Nikki was an over-the-top, trigger-happy, and generously bloody series that people will enjoy for many different reasons. I personally enjoyed it for the pure, uncensored fun that it displayed and the senseless gore and blood that it gave out in spades. This is still an enjoyable series, but at the same time, it might not be everyone's cup of tea. But for those who don't mind anime not rated E for everyone, I think you'll have a blast with Future Diary. For series that gave off a similar vibe as Mirai Nikki, I would point you toward Dead Man Wonderland, which I actually made a review of just a few days ago, and to Battle Royale, the premier survival arena series. Anyway, that's it for me guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, get ready to see even more from me. But anyhow, this has been Yvern and my box.